Plus. We certainly appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. We're going to get straight to it tonight because I think all of us are still talking about the weather, what we're likely going to see over the next couple of days. So let's go ahead and bring in Chief Meteorologist Tony Cavalier. Tony, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're not out of the thick of it yet.
Yeah, it's not hyperbolic to say it's extremely difficult. It's dangerous to be walking in parts of the area. When I went out to dinner tonight, thick rutted ice is rock solid hard. You gotta pick where you're going to park. You got to pick where there's an entrance that's safe. And this is again, it's not hyperbole. The ability to slip and fall and have a serious injury is like none I've seen in my 40 years in forecasting.
Wow.
I've seen a lot of storms, but this combination of snow and then a lot of sleet and then rain to saturate it, changing into rock solid hard ice. We're talking about some of these clusters of ice are 2 and 3 inches thick, and they're not smooth, they're rutted, and that makes it extremely hard to even walk like a penguin.
Yeah, I think if you haven't gotten to your driveway yet, it's like you might as well just wait out because you're going to be out there for several hours. And we know it's very tricky, when you're trying to do that and it's very slick, in addition to it just being hard to break up that ice.
And the thing that I recommend, I've been doing this at home, and I've been requesting people that come to the house, walk on my lawn. I tried to get to the sidewalk on Sunday, and it was too late already. It would have been backbreaking. It would have taken me hours to clear what normally would do in a half hour. That's how heavy it was. So if you walk on my grass, what's happened is you've got snow and sleet that's absorbed the rain, and then we had a fresh inch or two on top of that. So you're walking on the snow, which is kind of cushioned by the hard ice underneath, those quakes that you guys were talking about, the frost quakes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot safer walking on the lawn than it is, for example, on a unshoveled sidewalk that has ice that has formed.
Yeah, I think it's just so tricky, and it doesn't matter where you look at when you see video of just the ice and what parking lots look like right now. It's certainly still very tricky for a lot of people. Tony, you want to go ahead and pull up some of those weather graphics so we can talk about what's coming ahead?
Sure. I'm going to start with the most important one is the cold wave alert, which as of 6 o'clock was 72 hours. So let's see now, we're 3 hours later. 75 hours into sub-freezing temperatures using the Huntington metric. If you live in southern Ohio, you're already adding 48 hours onto that, and we have another 200 hours to go through. So the traveler's alert is not just for driving, it's for solid ice lingering and walking, okay? And on top of this, frozen pipes with the temperatures getting so cold. I've got the trickle running through my house, fingers crossed. I've got the cabinet doors underneath the sink open to allow warmth to seep in. School schedule greatly altered again. When you look at WSAZ.com, there are a lot more virtual learning days now. So when I was out in the neighborhood today taking a walk, the kids weren't there because the kids were inside boning up on virtual learning. So walking, driving, school schedule. And oh, by the way, Kimberly, a southern snowstorm is forming. Or will form, I should say.
Okay.
Likely to give us a glancing blow as we head into the weekend. Current temperatures, 10 Portsmouth, 18 Huntington, 14 Madison. So you get the idea. Look at Chillicothe at 2 below. Where skies clear tonight, just like last night, the temperature can get below 0. So it's a function of clouds and wind versus a calmer atmosphere and clearer skies. I will admit that Chillicothe temperature, as I look at it, looks a little maybe boisterous as far as its low depiction is concerned, but it will be colder in southern Ohio tomorrow morning as it was this morning, and we're looking at generally temperatures 0 to 5 or 8 above 0. That little cough there. Hey, here's a satellite that only shows some clouds, and the latest snow is going through western Kentucky, and go figure. It's missing the WSAZ area for a change.
Yeah, gosh, we haven't seen that in a while.
I'm like, come on, what are you thinking about? Snow? We're over here. We're snow country. So Louisville heading down toward Knoxville, a little dusting of snow. And the good thing is about the ice tomorrow morning, it will not be hidden by an overnight period of snow like we've had the last few nights. So you go out there, you'll be able to see it. And I had a hockey stick that was kind of helping me to get to and from the car, just so I can lean on it. Now I want to set the stage for the weekend storm. I want you to focus your attention on the top of the screen. The polar vortex is sending a piece of brutally cold air our way for the weekend. And as that interacts with the Atlantic Ocean and moisture coming out of Florida, there is likely to be a southeast United States nor'easter forming. Very rare. Futurecast says dry tomorrow. That's Thursday. There's a period of snow on Friday. Had schools opened on Friday, could it be that they'd have to close from a little snow?
Oof.
That certainly would be the case in southern sections. And really, the snow is going to hang out southern sections into Saturday, all the while over toward Myrtle Beach, getting ready for an important snowfall. Now, at Myrtle Beach, if you get 1 to 3 inches of snow, that's important.
Right. It shuts everything down. Even just one flake in the air down there shuts everything down.
Yet from Charlotte to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, there could be a pile of snow, as in many inches. That storm heads seaward, and as skies clear out over the weekend, nighttime temperatures are likely to wind up below zero. Here's the depiction on conventional weather maps. Cold air siphoning in, and to have it snow all the way to the Atlantic seaboard, down into the Carolinas, pretty much unheard of. So, the weekend snow, Nicholas put this together. He's a really good snow forecaster. I think it's pretty much spot on. As you go Portsmouth to Ripley and north, basically there'll be little, if any, snow. A couple snow showers, maybe a dusting. The farther south into the coal fields, you're going to catch a piece of that Friday morning snow and maybe some snow showers on the weekend as it turns brutally cold again. So you may be looking at a wind-blown 3 or 4 inches, Pikeville to Beckley. And I think most areas south of Charleston will wind up with a couple inches of snow. And oddly, that's the area that missed out on snow this past weekend. So you might say it's a game of turnabout fair play. And the 7-day forecast, again, we're having a contest on the overnight low temperatures. Here's what we have officially on the board. Whether you're a little above 0, or a little below 0, I don't think it really makes a difference, right? But the bottom line is for the WSAZ Wrestling Invitational this weekend, the history over the years has been cold and snow, and snap just absolutely par for the course this weekend. Daytime highs 15 to 20, and overnight lows flirting with 0 degrees.
You know, Tony, it's a good thing wrestling's an indoor sport, because if you had to sit out in the stands for that one, I don't know that we'd have a good turnout, but it's inside, so not too big of an issue. Has there been anything about this storm, what we've seen over the last couple of days, that has surprised you when it comes to the weather?
Well, we talked about a plowable amount of sleet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I was coaching the guys. I've been through a couple of them, one at Penn State, and I remember the 2003 one. So I was telling them, in order to get an inch of sleet, if you get an inch of rain and convert that to sleet, that would be 3 inches of sleet. So I'm surprised that came true,
Mm-hmm.
that we had that much, even though that was in the forecast, because forecasting freezing rain versus sleet is extraordinarily difficult, and it really makes a difference of exactly where you are. We see in Kanawha County, the power outs are due not to sleet. It rained there and froze. Yet in the river cities, we had sleet. And the difference was a degree, and the difference was a degree up here, not at ground level. But I admitted from the beginning, we didn't get the number of inches right as far as snowfall is concerned, but the impacts were dead on. And when we added more snow on Monday into Monday night, we got closer to about 50% of the snow accumulation we thought we would have
Mm-hmm.
came true. The exception was interior southern Ohio, where the 6 or 10 inches of snow did occur.
Yeah, I don't think it matters whatever snow event happens. I think it sticks with us, though. All of us can remember one snow event, maybe when we were kids, that it just was like, wow, I remember that. Hey, do you? And I think a lot of us recently talk about the ice storm that we saw in 21, 22, kind of that back-to-back year. And, of course, then last year we had the ice sandwich. So, I think it doesn't matter, no matter what we get or what we don't get, we still talk about it. And that cold is not going anywhere soon. And we've started to see so many different resources open up about different shelters. And even this morning, we were in a story this afternoon that was talking about how Capital County EMS is providing transport services for, people who are in the unhoused community that are just trying to walk to and from each shelter. And so can you talk about maybe when we could see some relief from that brutal cold?
I think we'll be able to chop the ice up about the middle of next week. Okay, if you were to take a shovel this afternoon or tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
and try to, unless you've got a very, very heavy pick, you're not going to do anything. But when we get a couple of above freezing days next week, the ice will start to let go a little. It'll become less dense. It'll become it'll become more pliable. You'll be able to chop it and get a little walkway in order to assure your safety. So I think we're still 5 days away from that at least.
All right. Well, there we are. It's not going away anytime soon. Tony, before I let you go tonight, I want to ask you, the most pressing question of the day.
Southern snowstorm, how much snow at Myrtle Beach?
Oh, well, that's a good one, too. I was going to ask you about something else.
What's that?
I was going to ask you about French Creek Freddy.
French Creek Freddy
What
coming?
is your prediction next week? Do you think he'll see a shadow?
Well, let's put it this way. I don't see an early spring. So I'm predicting he will see his shadow so that he will predict 6 more weeks of winter.
Yeah, I don't think Old Man Winter's going away anytime soon.
Not this year.
All right. Well, hey, Tony, we'll let you get back to work. We certainly appreciate you joining us here on WSAZ Plus. And to you at home who is watching, thanks so much for keeping up to date with us. I want to go ahead and talk a little bit of just about a couple of headlines that we're following today in our shows. You can catch them at 10 and 11. We'll have some full stories, but let's go ahead and pull up some videos. So we know that the roads have certainly been very tricky over the last couple of days. Anybody who hasn't necessarily gone and shoveled their sidewalk, oof, I feel for you. I did it the first day, and man, I still have some spots of ice on my driveway that we're trying to get to go away. So, we've started to see so many different ways of trying to break up that ice, and really that's also an issue for West Virginia Division of Highway road crews. They say, hey, we're really having to try and get creative. We heard them talk about beet juice and their combination that they've started to put down together. Something else that they're now doing is that they're bringing in specialized equipment. We're talking about graders, things of that nature to be able to really attack those stubborn spots of ice and snow that we've started to see build up. The highways, the interstates look pretty good right now. We know that crews have been hard at work. Gosh, I feel for those guys because it feels like they've also been working nonstop. But now they're kind of shifting their focus, they tell us. Road crews really trying to put an emphasis on maybe those secondary routes. And when we talk about that, that's just a road that necessarily isn't maybe an interstate or a highway. So think Route 10, Route 2, the Big Bowen Highway, right? Those are some areas that they're looking, and also your neighborhoods. They're trying to get in there, any state crews, and just trying to make it as clear as possible. We know that ice has been really tricky this time of year, and so we feel for anybody who has to do that with that. And I think, when we start to see some of this weather, it's such a great indication of how people have come together. And so, in Kentucky, we have the members of the National Guard who have been volunteering their time to make sure that people were able to get to and from medical appointments. Our reporter Ariana Mintz talked with several of the guardsmen who said, we were just taking people to dialysis, something that they rely on, critical care that they need to, and they can't put their lives on hold for. You saw members of the National Guard in Eastern Kentucky really donate their time and their talent and the resources to be able to get people to and from those appointments. They said, hey, we're going to load them up in the Humvee and we'll get there one way or another, but it'll be safe. We'll get there in time. And so, I often think it's a good time to maybe check on your neighbors too, right? We're all maybe stuck in the house for, 4 or 5 days now. Some of us getting a little stir crazy. And so, go out, check on your neighbors, see if they need anything. I think it's a great time, that we can all remember that. And so those are some of the stories that we're following today. We talked a little bit about how people were just getting creative, trying to make the most of it. And, that has certainly been a challenge, that winter storm. You heard Tony mention that cold is not going away anytime soon. And maybe your kiddos have the NTI days, the non-traditional instruction, or the virtual learning at home. And it's a good thing, too, because that bus stop would be brutally cold in the morning. So if you are headed out and about, make sure you layer up. I noticed, even the people at our station, and you don't see anybody. It's kind of odd right now to see anybody without a hat or a scarf or gloves on, right? So, bundle up. That Arctic air is not going away anytime soon. It's certainly hanging on for a little bit, and you heard Tony mention that. So I certainly appreciate you joining me here on WSAZ Plus. We're going to go ahead and get ready for our 10 and 11 o'clock newscast, and we hope you join us there as well. We're going to have a look at some of our other stories today, one that we're really following and that we've had coverage on quite a bit was the school consolidations in Wayne County. Tonight, the Board of Education voting to close down 2 schools in particular. We're going to get the details of when that will happen, how that will impact students, what they'll likely see, and hear more about maybe the plans that are now being put in place for those students. So that's another big story that we're following. I hope you join us at 10 and 11, and we'll see you there. Have a great night.